Most significantly, what will people say about you when you in the coffin? Just like what does your mama say about you when you look at her in the coffin? And you have to connect your life with her now corpse. And what will be the relation between what you build on what she tried to give you? That's what Black History is about. That's why it has to be the shortest month of the year. Because it's too deep.
I know that's right.
Especially for America. Especially for America. Black History tries to teach us to learn how to die in order to live. And you learn how to die by critically examining yourself. I know the wonderful students here at Rider University know exactly what I'm talking about. You come into the classroom, the teacher says it might be Black history, maybe European history, maybe African history, maybe Jewish history, maybe Catholic history. As long as it's human history, you're going to have to learn how to die, because when you examine yourself and give up an assumption or presupposition, that's a form of death. Anytime you give it up, turn it loose, a dogma, a doctrine, you're going to go and change and transformation. So when you march on Friday the 13th, May 13th, graduation day, Rider University, 2011, you say to yourself, I have spent 4 years, maybe 5, learning how to die. I've been transformed. I read Toni Morrison's Beloved. I listened to Beethoven's String Quartet, Opus 131. I wrestled with Shakespeare's Hamlet and Dante's Inferno. It pushed me against the wall. I underwent transformation. I actually got an education. I didn't just undergo schooling. Brother Maulana Karenga, oh, I love that brother so. He knew that Kwanzaa was about education, not just schooling. You don't come just to gain access to a skill so you can get a dynamite job and live in some vanilla suburb. That's comfort. No, Kwanzaa's about freedom, self-determination, education in its deepest sense. How do you undergo the shift from living at the level of the superficial and begin to engage with the substantial? It's the turning of the soul, to use the language of Plato. How do you shift from the frivolous to the serious, from the bling bling to let freedom reign? And this is a crucial message, especially for young brothers and sisters of all colors who want to learn from the best. From Black history, it takes courage. Courage. William Butler Yeats, probably the finest poet of the 20th century in the English language. My dear Irish brother used to say it takes more courage to examine the dark corners of your own soul than it does for a soldier to fight on the battlefield. You can't talk about Bob Moses. You can't talk about Stokely Carmichael. You can't talk about Donny Hathaway. You can't talk about Nina Simone. Unless you're talking about persons who what? Found their voice. And that is the very anthem of Black people. Ex-Negro. Lift every voice. And Kwanzaa is about what? Don't confuse voice with echo. Part of the challenge these days, the younger generation got too many echoes, not enough voices. Got too many folk into imitation and not creation. In fact, I go into the studio, a lot of hip-hop artists, oh, brother, we know you old school. That's right. I'm unabashed in my old school. Motown, Stax, Philly Sound, Luther Vandross, Gladys Knight. The emotion, stylistic, dramatic. That's not just popular culture. That is constitutive of a people who lifted their voices that allowed them to be inspired in the face of white supremacy, hatred, institutionalized hatred, being despised, being devalued, but still having a smile on your face. And when I walk in, they say, "Oh, Brother West, what you got to say today?" I said, "I'm bringing to you the best of the past, and those persons who I invoked, they were all originals. I see too many copies. Folk just well-adjusted to mediocrity. I see too many well-adjusted to injustice. In fact, that's one of the worst things we ever told young folk in the last 35 years. Folks struggled in the 1960s, giving their lives, some of them nameless, some of them anonymous, dead, and they did it just for folk to be successful. As if success is identical with greatness. No. Don't become well adapted to indifference. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who's part of Black history, didn't just march with Martin, he risked his life in gut bucket apartheid South. That's part of Black history. He chose to be a part of it. He used to say what? Indifference to evil is more evil than evil itself. It becomes a way of life. The last 35 years we've been wrestling with greed running amok, especially at the top, but spilling over all the way down. It's just our poor brothers and sisters have a fetishism of commodities, but not too many commodities. They ascribe magical powers to it, but they don't have access to it. You feel down and out, go to the mall and consume and feel better about yourself. You really feeling down and out? Adopt the dominant mode in the culture, which is that of self-medication, of addiction to buying, addiction to drugs, addiction to sex, addiction to alcohol, addiction to narrow conceptions of success. I just saw this movie the other day, The Social Network. What were the principles of quantum I have to say about that film? Obsession with money, 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 Benjamins, spiritual malnutrition, running amok, emptiness of the soul, and there's an intimate relation between spiritual malnutrition and moral constipation.
Ooh.
Well, you know what's right and good is just stuck in you. Can't get it out. Surprised a lot of Wall Street in the last 15 years or so. They know what's right and good. They just read it. Can't get it out. I only got 7 billion, you got 9, I'm running behind. 20% of America's children of all colors living in poverty, the richest nation in the history of the world. That's a moral disgrace.
Yeah. Yes, Lord.
Dilapidated housing in poor communities, not their chocolate